All right, good morning, good evening, good night, Web3. Welcome to another edition of NFT Live. Have a happy Monday. Hopefully, we can get over this atomic bomb that hit the ecosystem. If you are affected by anything that's happening, that's going on right now, I definitely want to start the episode by, first of all, saying, I hope that you are okay. There's a lot of people affected by the events of the last 72 hours plus. And we've been covering it for a minute, and I just want to make sure that, first of all, that you guys are okay. We're going to stick it out here. We're going to host another NFT Live no matter what. I don't even care if Vitalik rugs. We will be here, although it'll be on shaky ground then. What's up, Gif?
Man, don't jinx it. Don't be talking about Vitalik like that, man. I'm scared now. Everybody's talking about what if Vitalik rugs. Like, sheesh. I don't know, man. I don't even want to think about it, bro. I don't this is it's too much. It's too much for me to think about Vitalik rugging.
Just on a micro event here, Vitalik did sell $4 million worth of ETH, but I'm not sure why that is like a huge piece of news. The guy has a shit ton of ETH. He saw the market going down. I feel, and I'll bring up the tweet that shows the Etherscan. Like, if Vitalik wants to sell, it doesn't mean he's exiting the ecosystem, folks. So just want to start out with that. Hey, if you're listening on or watching our beautiful faces on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere that we're at, we want to say thank you very much. If you're on YouTube, please leave a like. If you're on Twitter, please leave a retweet. All the above. We appreciate you guys stopping by today as we just get started here on this Monday. Again, it's been an eventful 72 hours. The question is obviously going to be what the fuck just happened. The second question that I hope we can get to throughout the course of this interview show is where we go next. That didn't even really come up on the GM Web3 Alpha show. It was kind of just talking about, what's happened and what's going on. I really hope that the industry can come out of this.
Some good education around DeFi too, which I was hoping to get into that. I think that's really important. We focus a lot on NFTs and collecting and flipping and floor prices and things like that, but DeFi is a big part of Web3 and crypto too. And, so is apparently CeFi, which is centralized finance. And so, getting into the nuances of exactly what was going on with FTX, understanding and trying to learn, why DeFi can actually be a solution to what happened with FTX.
I'm bringing GIF around, baby. Let's go.
Well, I think the challenge, though, again, and I said this in the space, DeFi needs a rebrand. And I get that that's not DeFi by definition is decentralized. So no one person can rebrand it. But the issue is about the associated things, right? About how people think of it when they hear DeFi, what comes to mind? That's what I'm talking about. And there's a lot of really negative baggage already with DeFi, like there is with the term NFTs when you get outside of our bubble and into the mainstream, right? DeFi, I myself have been rugged the hardest in DeFi. I've lost the most money trying out these different DeFi schemes, and most of them all run on Ponzinomics. And so that's what I mean when I mean DeFi needs a rebrand. It's there's a lot of really shady Ponzinomic shit happening with DeFi, but that's not what FTX was primarily up to. Primarily, FTX was centralized, overly centralized, and then just being greedy and shady and basically stealing a bunch of people's money to go use it for things that, they shouldn't be using it for. They created a backdoor. They took all of the user funds and then, did a bunch of other weird shit with it. Yeah. And they ended up losing.
And we'll get into some of that stuff as well. Obviously, we want to cover what's happening with FTX. Literally, you could type in FTX in the top of your Twitter feed, search bar, and something new will pop up every other hour. I do want to point out this too. Let me share my screen. Obviously, we're going to cover some of the markets here today. Let me make sure I'm on the right screen here. Market's doing okay. Stuff is, kind of holding, the prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum down, of course.
No Solana in that top 10, huh?
Did we fall out? Polygon taking the spot from Solana. Where are we at with Solana? Down 58%. RIP play the music, cue the Titanic music for Solana, definitely, which we'll touch on as well. I don't want to, obviously I'm a big fan of Solana and what they're doing with the gaming side. We feel for the projects that are in that ecosystem. But skipping over here, this is like happening as we speak. Again, I told you, like, this stuff is unfolding as we talk on this show on NFT Live. This started getting tweeted out this morning, 10 p.m., or I guess the first one was last night, but he continued up until today. This has to be a hack, right? Like, there's no way SBF, after everything that's happening, I'm not even going to say like what SBF is at this point. If you don't know who SBF is, founder of FTX, we're going to talk about him a bunch on this episode. But what is this has to be a fucking hack. Do you guys see this at home as well?
I feel like he's trying to distract from shit. Like, it could be a hack. Of course it could be. But to me, if it's a hack, like, most people, when they hack shit, they are trying to get you to click a link or do something else. Like, so I don't know, maybe it's some altruistic hack out there that's just trying to, like, create more nonsense. I feel like he's just trying to, like, honestly, maybe, okay, let's get conspiratorial here, since we're just talking about weird, crazy shit that he's fucking tweeting, right? Because that's how news works today.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Like, he's on the run.
Well, so maybe this is him laying the foundation for mental insanity, that he had a mental break, and that's what happened here. And then he's going to claim that in court and try and get a reduced sentence or get out of, I don't know, man. I feel like if it was a hack, that they'd be spreading links around.
Yeah.
But
so, we're going to get started here on today's episode. We're going to cover the SBF and FTX situation. We are going to cover Yuga Labs acquiring 10KTF as well. That was a big story. That's kind of been like the least kept secret in the NFT space for like at least a calendar year at this point, that 10KTF and WAG Nissan are going to be somehow added into the other side and the Yuga Labs ecosystem. That happened. So we're going to touch on that. Any other quick news you guys want us to hit? We will. We're going to cover the floor prices on Bored Apes and a couple of the other biggest projects. A lot of shit's happening. I don't even know where to start. Like, you asked a speaker on today's GM Web3 Alpha show, and literally he was like, I have so many thoughts. I do not know where to start, which is exactly, since we went off air on Thursday, so much shit has happened that it feels tough to even begin to know where to start with this story. We'll do our best, though. I want to give a shout out to the chat. Genetics Design says maybe we can focus on what we've learned from all this. Like, if the returns are too good to be true, they are. Paxmark says, back when I was studying economics, a calculus teacher had used to say that if something is too good to be true, it usually is. OVOT, new chatter, SSW3, yo, good morning, even if it's the middle of the fucking day where you are. And then a bunch of other ones that we'll get to. Marty McFly is saying, can we admit that NFTs are now dead, or at least Yuga is? Hold up. Well, they're not dead. They almost died. And we'll get to some of these other comments. But, Mr. Joker's in the house too. Want to give a shout out, and Arafim. All right, leave a like, subscribe if you don't know what the fuck we do here on the network. It's we put out Web3 and NFT content. That's as good as it is. It's full stop. That's what we do here. So subscribe if you like that shit. GIF, anything before we get started on this roller coaster?
Well, as far as other news, Marty McFly is down here pointing out that apparently it's Gary V's birthday. And look, I didn't even know that. So who's the real simp, Marty McFly? I'll say that. And then
full simp screen.
Somebody was also saying here, where was it? Basically, if losing 50% equals dead, then all tech stocks are dead too, right? I don't think NFTs are ever going to die at this point, because it's about the technology and people starting to understand the value of that technology and what it can offer, the value that it can bring. But that doesn't change the fact that right now it's tough.
It hurts. And it's good to see the prices, as we pulled them up just there before, not tanking like sub 1K, sub 10K Bitcoin. Like that would have been a rough scenario. There were a bunch of questions on like how long this contagion will last, essentially, for the space. I will say, just TLDR, I would not, and this is not financial advice, I would not expect anything like really extremely bullish until at least the summer at this point. Like that's the way this stuff really works itself out. The regulators are going to come in, hopefully not, too heavy-handed. They move very, very slow. So we're not going to see the SEC come out in December and say, "Hey, this is what we're doing. This is going to get passed by the time we, come back in January," and all these things. That's not going to happen. But short-term sentiment is going to take a while to kind of, get back to where it kind of was before all this shit happened.
Well, yeah, a while for sure. Like a lot of people are talking about how this has been more damaging than almost any other single event, and that like this might have, in terms of again broad public sentiment and investment and maybe even regulation, like that this might have truly set crypto as a whole back by years. So what's the point? The point is that like the contagion and the fallout from this is going to take a while to play out. Just like you said, Q, like you don't think it's going to turn around really until summer. I'd say that's probably a fair bet. It's not just going to turn around in like a month or two. That's for sure. I think what really sucks is it's around this time that and we were seeing some momentum, but it's around this time of the year that a lot of people would have predicted that you'd start to see some increased volume, some more interest. The holidays are coming up, but it's like instead we've got a bunch of people losing money, being more concerned about safety than ever, and being even more cautious during the holiday season, because the truth and the unfortunate truth is that a lot of people got hurt, especially if you're in BlockFi, but across the space, the whole the whole crypto market across every cryptocurrency is down like 25% because of this.
I lost money in BlockFi. It's that simple. Like I lost money in BlockFi. So if you're wondering, how all this kind of like works out, and how it affects people, well, I'm right here. I was
so that's like, as far as you're concerned, and as far as there's nothing coming back from that. Like BlockFi is absolutely like donezo, and there's no recourse.
I would say a lot of this stuff we can make down like 18,000 rabbit holes in this episode. So I'm going to try to like jump down the ones that I think that make sense for this episode. If you guys have any questions, please let us know. I'll TLDR answer that. I'm expecting not to see that for 6 years, 7 years. And if that, usually what happens is they do it on pennies on the dollar, maybe half, maybe a quarter. So you have a scenario where you have a ton of people locking up their funds to... I wouldn't say chase yield. Like, yes, technically that is what happened, but a lot of this stuff with BlockFi, with FTX, why it's so crazy is because they seem to be, at face value, really legit funds. Really like Alameda Research, FTX, like really legit companies, and pass themselves off to the extent where Alameda, again, SBF, was at Capitol Hill doing all this stuff, which is why it's so crazy. Now, BlockFi had some issues earlier. If you want to put on 2020 vision and look backwards, BlockFi did have some issues, I believe, with the 3AC situation. And I'll pull up a timeline here as well. I feel like there's like 15 different timelines to follow on again. But yeah, GIF, TLDR, don't expect to see that for a very long time. Part of the issue with this centralized/decentralized system, again, like people are confusing DeFi with CeFi and back and vice versa. There's no insurance when it's truly not CeFi. But that's okay, because in DeFi, what you get is the transparency. It's kind of a trade-off. These guys were selling themselves off as DeFi-esque platforms while not having the insurance funds or the backup funds that you would get in a centralized exchange, like if Lehman went down, or some other federally insured or backed entities get involved. So TLDR, no, I don't expect to.
And it looks like Marty McFly also had money in BlockFi. So despite all of our jokes about you being a total Gary V simp, Marty, I'm really sorry to hear that, man. And we're here with you. It's been over a year since the all-time highs. We have been in a bear market for quite a long time, but this probably is going to keep us there longer. All these great comments. Appreciate all these amazing comments. Genetics pointing out that one of the worst things you can say to people right now, if you can't afford to lose money in what you're investing, then you shouldn't be investing. Like, yes, there might be some truth to that, but when people are down and hurting, it's not really the nicest or most helpful thing to tell them. So fair point. So yeah, appreciate all these comments, and yeah, Q, it's fucking awful, man. And
yeah,
we already talked about it. I wish there was something that I could do, but it's out of all of our hands, right? It's just like,
yeah, it's
you got to charge it to the game sometimes, man. Like, you're in the space, like. I guess that's not a helpful thing to say to people either, but like, fuck.
Yeah, hopefully we are going to see some of those funds back at some point. But you know, it's part of playing in the game. There's a lot of different ways we could go down there. Sorry, my girlfriend just walked in the door as we press live, so she's been away for the weekend. But anyways,
let's get her on here. Bring her on, Q. I've never met her. I've never seen her. Wait, this is the big reveal.
No, that's the next episode. That's next episode. Got to see where I'm going with that. Give me 2 seconds.
I wonder how BlockFi is entering into those conversations over there.
Hey, okay. All right. I'm going to pull this up really quick and get us back on schedule. Here is kind of a rough timeline if somebody wants to look at like the macro version of what actually happened. What they're basically saying here is that Alameda took like very, very tough bets and what some would say like really, bad investments on pieces that went under. So again, you can see like multiple times, crypto hedge fund, 3 Arrows Capitals takes huge losses. Crypto brokerage Voyager had lent 3AC money, and then somehow Alameda was also caught up in this. So Voyager declares bankruptcy. Alameda takes a loss on Voyager, which was tied into 3 Arrows Capital. So there's a lot of commingling, I think, as a term of funds here, trying to save different entities that eventually went under, which leads to a cascading effect here on Alameda. So TLDR, if you've just been living under a rock, SBF at the same time masquerading as this white knight, which I think is another conversation we could have, this white knight of crypto, this white knight that was going to kind of save us from like the heavy-handed regulation, was going to act as like, hey, I've got this large exchange. This is how we're doing it the right way. Crypto can become regulated and we can just transition into this next adoption cycle. Ended up just trading with people's funds, basically. If you put money into FTX, they moved it from FTX to Alameda. Alameda took on a couple of bad investments that went under, and then it was a cascading effect that led back into FTX being insolvent. That's as clean, I hope, as it is to kind of get a rough outline of what actually happened. The question is, where do we go from here? The question is, were there signs that this was going to happen, or that that we could have predicted? So it's tough to look back, and because I do think it's 2020 vision. But you were saying that you saw a couple tweets, saw a couple sources that basically this could have been predicted, essentially.
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems really obvious now when you go watch some of his recent interviews and people from his team doing interviews, because they clearly were just didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And literally at one point, he did an interview a couple months ago explaining what he was doing and basically described a pyramid scheme, like to a T. And CoffeeZilla, I think at the time, was the only person that called him out. But to me, I never got into FTX or this guy because, again, like I never got good vibes from any of it. Maybe that's just my own gut, and maybe I'm a little bit lucky in that regard. But like, dude, the guy's a sociopath. And if you go watch the videos now, like, I don't know, man. Anybody who's out there trying to position themselves as like, I'm the altruist, I don't even care about money. Like, I don't like. Dude, I don't know. All these feel like red flags, and I think one of the scary / interesting things is that you can go find very similar videos, like literally hiring the same YouTuber to pump him up and make him seem like an altruist who doesn't like. I'm talking about CZ. Sorry, CZ from Binance has like very similar videos and PR out there of him like, oh, I don't even care about money. Like I'm giving all my money away, or like, and it's just like, oh no.
Yeah, there is something to be said about him not being a crypto OG. That's been thrown around. So, again, other information that's been put out essentially is saying that he kind of came on the scene, I believe, late 2018, maybe. I need to make sure that I'm getting my dates correct. But it wasn't in early 2013. Like, I've been in the crypto space for a long time and I just created FTX. It was very all of a sudden, to the point that people are actually saying that there's like some conspiracy of being tied into the Democratic Party, and his mother, I guess, is tied to the Democratic Party. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but if you would like to do that with your time, there are a ton of threads that show maybe interconnectedness, the cabal, if you will, that exists at the highest levels when you have that type of money, when you have billions of dollars. Grant Rogers in the house giving a thumbs up. We appreciate you so much. Paxmark saying I had like 20% of my funds on FTX, and a couple weeks ago I saw public sentiment shifting around SBF and decided to send those assets to Binance, which turned out to be pretty lucky. Great move. Great. I mean, that's the head on a swivel that you need to have in this space. Here's a head on a swivel thing, GIF, that nobody's talking about. Yuga Labs had essentially a strong amount of their treasury, from what I can deduce by the tweets from Gordon. They removed those assets from FTX on Monday, and all this shit happened. So, go ahead.
Well, I don't know how much time we want to spend speculating on this, since there's we don't have insider info. We aren't in the rooms where these conversations are, on the calls where this is happening. But I will say this: we do know from Magic Eden and the Utes and Frank the Gods that there's absolutely collusion happening between some of these marketplaces and the bigger projects. So what am I trying to say? I would not be surprised at all if they got the news before everybody else of how bad this was. I also think maybe it's less nefarious than that. Like, there's a chance that there were some people out there looking at the books, looking at the numbers, saying, hey, none of this looks right. And because they had a lot of money there, they may have already been concerned, and they may have already been kind of planning an exit there. So there's a chance that it's just like partial luck and just them having a feeling and like doing some of their own diligence and listening to certain people about like, yo, it's not going well. All right, let's go ahead and get out.
That's
so there's a chance that it's like that, but the timing is extremely suspect. And usually when something like that close together happens, it's usually more than just a coincidence. There's usually something else that tipped them off or something.
And I know you've been, at least in the GM Web3 morning shows, talking about like the timing of announcements. To have this happen and then right away they're talking
10
about
KTF. We're acquiring 10 KTF. Everybody, let's talk about that.
Quickly, the floor price has fallen under 50 ETH for Bored Apes, so that's something to keep in mind. Again, I'm not going to like speculate on where I think essentially the price of Bored Apes is going. I think it'll just kind of transition as the market transitions. If the market continues downwards, we'll probably see continued sell pressure on Bored Apes, and that floor will fall. If the market kind of tips into a more bullish, again going into maybe spring and summer, I think that's when you probably see the steps up for the floor price. But yeah, in the short term, I'm not bullish that this is going to really flip the other way.
It hurts, bro. I'm over here standing strong with my ape fam, representing. Still hodling, gonna keep hodling. But yeah, it sucks. It sucks to see it happening. And I don't know. Also the 10K KTF, it could be a distraction thing. It could also be that they're realizing like, yo, we're getting our asses beat. We gotta make some announcements. Like we gotta try and stem the bleeding, or stop the bleeding somehow. So Yeah, I feel like the 10 KTF thing, like most mergers and acquisitions, you know about these for like they've been working on it in the background for a while, and I feel like they had the announcement in their back pocket for a time when they felt like they needed it, and clearly they felt like they needed it today for whatever reasons.
Yeah, it's a good move. We'll touch on it here in a second. Again, it has been prophesized for a long time, and the signs were there. All right, Marty McFly coming in with the biggest conspiracy comment that I've seen in the chat so far. I'm starting to think SBF is responsible for the Brady divorce. Now, there was an article that came out. I'm not sure it was actually like proven to be true, but there was an article that came out that said there was like 600 million invested from the that household, that estate, the Brady estate, essentially.
Oh, I think it was like more.
FTX.
I think it was like 650. Let's pull this up.
I was trying to go low on that, but yes, it was like a large amount of funds that were said to be invested in FTX via the Brady estate. I mean, if I don't think Brady would have inside knowledge there, though. You know, he wouldn't know like a month ago that this was all going to happen, would he? That's getting to some crazy.
It's definitely possible, man. Because if they were trying to like move it out or move some funds, and then figuring out like, oh, yo, we don't have access to our funds, or like, why are we getting the runaround from them? You could see how they maybe months ago saw the writing on the wall that like, yo, our money is gone. So I don't know. This is, again, we're like going heavy on conspiracies today. So it's like, you know, I feel like it's not helping anybody to really speculate too much on all this. But I had seen that they put 650 mil. That's way more than $500 million. 650 mil.
Yeah,
that's the majority of like their net wealth. And so, hey, you could absolutely see why, one, he would want to go back and play another season, and two, this could affect a divorce. No, straight up, dude. Like,
we are connecting the dots here on NFT Live, just for you guys.
Straight up. Like, if you lost all of your net wealth betting on crypto like that, that would absolutely affect the possibility of divorce. And then also, again, if he's able to keep playing and make some of that back, it would definitely affect that decision. So there, I could absolutely see a world where they had insider info months ago that like, yo, that money is not available. It's,
So, okay. Yeah, there's definitely some dots to be tied in here and connected, but we're not going to get too far down that rabbit hole. I will say to the I think Marty was also talking about the Democratic piece, that he definitely was the number 2 donor to the Democratic Party. We all know that. That is something that is completely true and out there, cannot be refuted. The question being like, how then tied in was he to everything that kind of goes on behind the scenes on Capitol Hill? That's where I want to draw the line here. We're not going to jump into that. If you want to do that, I'm sure Ben Shapiro or Alex Jones is talking about that stuff, but we're not going to talk about that too much here today. I do have another development that is coming from Binance here. Do want to touch on proof of reserves. This was announced like 3 days ago, like when all this bullshit was happening. That's going to be big for this industry to self-regulate. And what I mean by proof of reserves is that essentially what's happening here and what has happened is SBF was trading with people's funds, and you, for the most part, were kind of leaning on people's word, sometimes to the tune of a Twitter thread when it comes to, hey, we have the funds. There's no industry standard and there's no regulation yet that makes it so we can see what they have on their books. That's essentially what's happening. Proof of reserves were coming out via Binance. So CZ was talking about, we need to create this industry standard. I believe BitMEX, which was a darling of like the last cycle, essentially the FTX of last cycle, came out and said they're launching with this new token. They're going to do proof of reserves. So keep your eye on proof of reserves. And then second, this is an important tweet from CZ as well that came out this morning. To reduce further cascading negative effects of FTX, Binance is forming an industry recovery fund to help projects who are otherwise strong but in a liquidity crisis. More details to come soon. In the meantime, please contact Binance Labs if you think you qualify. So, Gif, I want to get your take here as well, because you were talking about how other companies, the contagion effect of other companies essentially being tied in to FTX. But I also want to talk on DeFi and insurance funds when it comes to what CZ's talking about there.
Yeah, so contagion is like a popular word, like capitulation right now. It's like, just becomes sort of a meme to describe the domino effect that happens when a major player, a major hub that has so much money wrapped up into it and so many tentacles, that are all have their fingers and all these different pies. What happens when that goes down, right? The impact that can have, the ripple outwards, and how many different entities can be negatively impacted or destroyed because of that. Like I personally think it's basically just another word for systemic risk, but I think it's more about the impact of the systemic risk when you take out one of those major sort of, keystones, those foundational pillars or whatever, they're propping up so much of the rest of the space, and it all just comes tumbling down. And so I think I had seen initially when the FTX stuff was starting to come out that there was already like 130 businesses or something that were all filing for bankruptcy based on just FTX's alone. I don't know if that's completely accurate, so please somebody double check that in the comments. But what's the point? The point is that FTX, Alameda, it's two businesses, but basically like one larger group of entities that creates this pillar, and then it has a bunch of direct investments and direct businesses that are directly reliant on them that all come down, and then you have to think about all of the other small to medium-sized businesses that are tied in to those and reliant on those businesses, right? So it's just like, it's like a freaking volcano just erupted and is just subsuming everything that it touches, right? And yeah, that's why it's like the effects of this are going to take a long time to ripple out, because there's so many interdependencies in the space, and there's all these different like NFT fi and DeFi and like lending and trading and all these different platforms and protocols and layer twos and roll-ups and all these different things. Like, Solana is getting hit more than a lot of them because there was a lot of focus there and direct investment there, but it's across the whole ecosystem. They had such a big footprint.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of fallout. There were a couple questions thrown out on the Alpha Show this morning that was like, how long is this going to be a factor for the industry, and how big of a moment was it for this industry? And Kane Mayfield is on his way as well. Got that new vid. I'd love to see it. But
let's go. I'm excited for that.
I will.
Can I add one real quick? Because the question was about contagion, and I think actually part of what I like about the term contagion is it's the social, it's the sentiment that travels, the word of mouth also that takes on a life of its own, and so the negative impacts of this are not just direct financial hits. A lot of people are talking about this setting back, crypto for years. A lot of that is because of what this does is it spreads all these negative stories into people, into the mentality, the psychology, like the world, society in general. So this contagion, this FTX, SBF, all of the bad and the negativity and the scammy shit, all of that gets out there and then affects people's sentiment towards crypto and wanting to come in for potentially a long time. So it is like COVID. It's like you catch it and it takes a virus, and it'll take a long time to you may never fully recover, right? Like COVID is the impact of COVID is gonna ripple out for years and decades, if not hundreds of years.
Yeah, there's a point to be made here that the crypto industry likes to prop up individuals as like our leaders in the space, which is a human thing. You know, I don't think it's a blockchain thing that we're like saying, or a Web3 thing saying like we're gonna prop up Vitalik to like, you know, be the white knight for us. And that's essentially what SBF was, which is why this hurts so bad, because he was a community leader. I would say this is the only thing crazier than SBF doing this. And it sucks to sit here now and say this because it doesn't hit as hard. But if you had said 6 months ago that SBF would do this, people would lose their fucking minds. It's becoming more normal. We've been talking about SBF for like a calendar week, you know, which is a month in crypto. So people are becoming used to this, seeing his face and thinking like scum, scoundrel, this guy sucks, he destroyed the industry, yada, yada, yada. But it would be like if Vitalik did this. Like, the only guy the only one dude that would make it worse for the industry if he turned out to be scum would be Vitalik. And it's a huge moment for crypto.
I also look at his face and think awkward orgy.
True. Yeah, I don't know. Are we doing the orgy rabbit hole today?
I don't know, man. I guess my invite was missed, but I'm okay with that after I've seen some of the people that were participating. It was mostly Sam. Like I don't know. I don't know that I ever would want to be in that orgy, frankly.
Sam and Caroline just getting after it. Yeah, that is. But
I'm sure the view out there in the Bahamas was nice, at least, you know.
Yeah. Update on that situation. I thought the Nifty Portal guys were awesome for doing that, where they like hopped on a flight and were like trying to like.
Did they actually go to the Bahamas?
They actually went. They actually went.
Okay, I thought it was all just like hyping it up on Twitter and like telling a story and a narrative. I thought they were just kind of like
unless they flew to another island and like the background setting was not the Bahamas and they play that all out. That might be a thing. So we're on multiple levels of conspiracy theories here.
No, like props to them for chasing it down, and they were saying that they were putting up $50K if they could talk to somebody from FTX in the Bahamas. I don't know how much of this is real or it's just them talking to get people, you know, engaging online. But either way,
we're talking. Yeah. So
good job.
So okay. Back into the timeline. I feel like we did a shitty job of like figuring out the timeline, how we wanted to talk about this, but that's on me. So here's what's happening. All of this came colliding down, and essentially SBF is now trying to get out of the country. People like the FTX headquarters is like, there's an exodus of employees. Everyone's like, you know, being fired or let go or just like leaving. So like everyone's trying to get out from the Bahamas back to the US or wherever they're from. In the meantime, nobody can find SBF right now. Is his Twitter hacked? Is he tweeting from there? I have no idea. And so no one really knows. There's no confirmed like location of this guy. People were tracking a flight to Argentina, like a public website interface that like showed the like flights in real time and like, oh, SBF is on this flight from the Bahamas to the Argentina. So this is all developing in real time up to this very moment. Nobody knows where the fuck this guy is, apparently. So that's where we're at right now. I mean, that's the timeline of where we're sitting. So
Kane needs some instruction. Apparently he can't figure out the restream. So don't worry. IT's coming to help you, Kane. We got you.
We got a backdoor.
Yeah, but speaking of actually like news and massive layoffs, like you're talking about, you know, FTX being impacted. This is, I guess, peripheral to NFTs through tech, but Amazon is now also participating in the massive layoffs. 10,000 people this week. That's a lot of people to be laying off on top of Facebook, Twitter, all these big tech companies. So that's like, you know, Netflix, I think, is the only one left in FANG, or Apple. Apple and Netflix may be announcing layoffs next week.
11,000 from Meta, right? 11,000 from Meta.
It's a lot, man. I didn't see what number from Meta. It looks like 10,000 from Amazon. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Paxmark is saying, I thought SBF had been detained by Bahamas authorities, but people are saying all sorts of things on Twitter. We have Kane Mayfield. He is popping up on the screen. No one freak out. We found Kane. He is in the Bahamas. What's up, bro? No audio. No audio, Kane. Are you muted?
There we go. Much better. I have a chair. Look at this chair.
Woo!
I gotta figure out how to turn this this background. I'm in prison apparently. This is super racist.
Yeah.
Super racist. Super duper racist. I'm being racist.
Hey,
Hold
hey,
on.
Kane, hit your settings and make sure that you've bumped up the video setting to full high def.
Yep, full high def.
All right, cool.
And let's get that virtual background up out of there. And hold on.
This is
Taking
live
this
in production.
New camera, we're doing it live, y'all. You're here with us.
Do it live.
Let's re-ranch here.
Re-ranch it.
Strong re-ranch. Guys, please leave a like for Kane Mayfield, who just decided, hey, I want to hop up on the screen. I want to show off my new camera, and I want to talk, apparently, FTX. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, literally, as soon as I got my camera, the first thing I did was call these guys and bother them with my nonsense.
That's true. But you know what? Let's actually talk about something else briefly, since we're re-ranching things anyway, getting a little ranchy up here. We have a follow-up on an NFT front. This is not FTX or SBF related. From last week, you know who launched an NFT project literally on the worst day ever? Literally on the day that FTX went bankrupt. You know who launched an NFT project on Coinbase NFT? Jessica Yatrovsky launched iHeartGirl on Thursday, literally the day that FTX went bankrupt and everybody could talk about nothing else, and she sold it out. And so, you know, we had her on the show last week. We were talking about her. We love her. And so we got to do that follow-up and say congratulations. It's huge. We're super proud of you, and being able to sell out a project, especially an art-focused NFT, you know, during these times, it's amazing. So,
yeah, 100% shout out to Jessica. Yeah, is the connection coming through okay on y'all's end for my video?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I know we had some connection issues there, but yeah, shout out to Jessica. I mean, if you can sell out in that environment, like the worst thing to ever happen to crypto in like literally the last 5 to 10 years, then yeah, I think you'll do pretty well here going forward. Carrie Ross is in the house saying it's a great collection, Arafim, and still sold out. Let's heckin' go, Mr. Joker. People were able to get in at a discount, huh? That's true too. That helped. All right. There you go. Kane fixed his background. He is not in jail.
You see my chair?
Let's see.
I got a nice chair here. This is good. I feel fancy. This is very fancy. Got my Rosa Parks on too. Nah.
Kane, what do you make of this FTX stuff, man? Give me the lowdown.
I think that a lot of people who are sorry, I'm very self-conscious with my stunner shades on, my bags.
Yes, sir.
This works good. Also, shouts to Hodl Pig. Got my Hodl Pig. That's how you do the branding, boys. That's how you get the branding happening. The branding.
Love to see it.
Yeah, the branding is strong. So I think that a lot of people who were onboarded via commercials that they saw during halftime and stuff like that is they were not long for this world anyway. You know, like that's just the truth. They were just not. Anyone who's onboarded to this space because Bob Saget or, you know, shout out rest in peace Bob Saget, whoever told you it was a good idea to buy crypto, like, you know, if you know, you saw a commercial and it's like, oh yeah, Lena Dunham, oh no, I really think this is a great idea. If that's the way you're rolling, you're fucked. You were already a rug. You're a pre-rug that just hadn't been rugged yet.
But what about Matt Damon?
Well, I mean, listen, the fortune does obviously favor the bold, and if you've seen any of the Bourne movies, well, then you know this guy is a pinnacle of financial advice that you should be taking. Personally, I'm more of a Sean Connery guy myself, because, you know, when he says
Liam Neeson,
shaken not stirred, that's exactly how I like my tornado cash. Like it's shaken, not stirred. And well, just to answer your question though, you got people who are onboarded improperly. Let's just call that what it is. You're onboarded improperly. And you got a whole section of the space that's screaming for mass adoption. They're not screaming for mass adoption because they want to help people. They're screaming for mass adoption because they want more customers. But they can't say that because the space doesn't like when you call them customers. They want people who are not smart enough to ask you smart questions. You want people who are not going to take you on, not going to challenge it, and not make sure that what you're doing is within the ethos of what we all know, love, and believe in. So they want a bunch of people to come in. Well, how you do mass baptisms is you water down the Christianity. Right? That's just what it is. You needed someone to water down the message so you can get all the sinners in and get their cashola spinning. So now you got what happens with that? Do I hold my coins on exchanges? No. Coinbase is a lovely turnstile for me. I don't hate Coinbase. I'm not mad at Coinbase, but I view them as what they are. They're a turnstile for my money. It's a really good way to get money from like Trust Wallet to my bank. Coinbase obviously being a nice intermediary. And from my bank into crypto. If I see I just found for instance, I just found a shit coin that I'm buying. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I liked it. And I thought it was funny. So I'm buying some at $50, whatever. And I use some Coinbase to move it here, to move it there. Simple. It's easy peasy. But do I leave money there? No, because the percentage that you get for leaving your money there is not without risk. There's no inherent reward. They're not giving you money because they're nice or think you're cool. They're giving you money because they go and play baccarat with it when you're not looking. Same as Bank of America does, same as Chase does.
Yeah, and that's the public restroom analogy, right? Because some people, smarter. So some people smarter than myself. I don't know who it was, but apparently some crypto OG is famous for saying.
I think it was Antonopoulos. Andreas Antonopoulos.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. But he basically said, a crypto exchange should be treated like a public bathroom. You go in, you do your business, and then you get out. It's not where you go hang out. It's not where you just put all your wealth, just like chill there. It's a utility. You go in, you use it, you get out, right? And so that's what, again, like Uniswap and these decentralized exchanges basically are. You go in, you use it for your trade, and then you move on. You don't leave a bunch of your money sitting there unless you're buying the Uniswap token, I guess. But that's ideally what exchanges should be in a decentralized world. It shouldn't be a place where you put all your money into their custodial wallets and then like hope that they, do good things with it.
Yeah. To your Uniswap point, there is no custody of assets. That's what the benefit is. I'm a big proponent of DeFi, man. I love the steps that they're making there. The problem is it's not. I was trying to get to this point in the Alpha Morning Show. The people that are involved in DeFi aren't the people that are involved in NFTs.
No.
Essentially, there's not that much crossover. We're talking about making NFT. There's a little bit, but we're talking about making NFTs mass adopted.
I crossed over and got my ass handed to me.
Here's my thing: is like DeFi people do not know or do not really care that much about making their product palatable for your uncle or your aunt. That's the big thing that's happening right now. Is like that. These are things that could be cool. Again, if you're using Aave, you deposit this shit in 3 clicks. You're earning interest on something that they're loaning out in non-nefarious ways. It's just another person reaching into that pool that pays a little bit more, and they take a little bit of a cut. That's essentially what the borrowing and lending services are all about. But you don't have someone then lending that to buy FTX2 fuck all token, and that's not happening on DeFi. It's essentially people put money in, people take money out, and you're getting an interest there on the borrowing and lending that's happening. DeFi is fucking awesome.
I'm holding massive bags of fuck all token, and I don't know how you knew that. And if you've been wallet watching, cut that shit out, because it's not. Don't say it on the show, obviously. Fuck all token is to the moon, and anyone saying anything else is just a futter. But just to say, and this is kind of the idea that we kind of touched on with last week or whenever it was. There's things that hold up the financial market. None of it being what people think it is. The financial market is held up by 2 main premises. Number 1, law. Number 2, let's just call it technical innovation. The law part, super simple. We are a country that is the land of opportunity. With opportunity comes opportunists. With opportunists comes bad actors. And bad actors just love to try shit. They're like mad scientists who are just, instead of inventing things, they want to fuck you over. And so I'm going to sell fake rubber trees, and I'm going to sell them on the open market. And then they get caught. And they say, well, no more fake rubber trees. What about boysenberry bushes? And they try 1,000 different iterations of the same scam until the law finally says all of these things are banned or going to have to be controlled. That's what the law side of finance is. The other side is, okay, well, there's law and then there's technical innovation. Like in the 80s, if you are familiar with, people didn't buy stock. They bought bonds, junk bonds to be exact. And when everyone was buying bonds, because no one bought stock back then, people looked at new innovation. So Lou Ranieri from Solomon Brothers is the person that actually invented what you know as the modern day mortgage market. He was the first person that said, let's cut the interest into tranches and sell it. This is all financial history stuff, which I know better than American history because it actually pertains to me. So the point I'm making is that world that has stuff in it, right? There are certain things you can't do. Think of it like war. You can't, if a scientist says, I got this new bomb, and it explodes, and acid goes into the water and kills all their fish, and then they're gonna fucking die. It's like, yo, the Geneva Convention says we can't, it looks dope. Good job, but we can't use that in the American military. It's like, oh, fuck. Now, this whole other planet, this crypto planet, there is no Geneva Convention. There's nothing that protects a citizen of said dissident village from whatever technological advances that mad scientists come up with. So when they deploy something, it's straight from your brain to the blockchain. There's nothing stopping it. There's also nothing holding it up. So if a stock starts free falling, and Andy mentioned this earlier, which is why I love when Andy talks, when a stock starts free falling, a couple things are in place. A couple of things that can stop it. It can be halted. There can be an investigation. There's 1,000 different things that protect an average retail consumer from a game they should not be playing in the first place. There is no such stopgap in this. So stuff can just free fall. The safest place, and this is what I said to Gifted earlier, the safest place for your crypto is in your hand. Now, if you'd want to take some crypto and gamble, and that's just what you're doing, you're gambling. You're not putting it into a bank account. You are the bank. So whatever you put your crypto into, don't think of it like you're a customer. You have to think of it like you're a bank. Now, bank error in your favor, like monopoly rules, collect $200. There's nothing to go back and say, no, there's no backseats. No backseats, no exchanges. It's like going into a casino, rolling the dice, losing, and go, oh no, that was a practice roll. That shit ain't gonna fly. So if you lose in this space, you're gonna lose hard. And the only way to protect yourself, because all the other tools that they want, and this is the point that I was making, when the retail investor in crypto, which is, there really are none, even when you're small, you're still a bank, you're a small bank. When a retail-minded investor wants retail investor type tools and toys, the way they have over in the stock market, and they go looking for that in crypto and someone builds it for them, well, it's at least 30 times more dangerous than it would be in the manner in which you're used to seeing it. Even a fucking checking account. Because the things that keep a bank solvent are not here. Banks are not held up because they're solvent and make prudent decisions. They're held up because some of them are just deemed too big to fail, and they have powerful friends in government, they have powerful friends in business. All this FTX stuff could have been fixed if 4 or 5 billionaires got together and propped it up using their own cash.
SBF, CZ almost did. Yeah, CZ almost did, then saw the books and then said, fuck it. Yeah.
So what if 5 of them came in, propped it up, and bolstered it? Well, now you have something that more resembles the financial market that you're used to.
There's something to be said about this. Earlier in the summer, there were some, like, again, Celsius 3AC, some company, BlockFi got bailed out in the summertime. There's something to be said that this did happen 4 months ago, so that this cascading effect didn't happen till now.
And I thought Celsius got a bad beat. And admittedly, I like Celsius, not for what they are, not for what they've done, but for what they represent. Celsius represents a sharpened stake that can kill some vampires.
Yeah.
Because a bank tells you that half of 1% or 1% or just meeting or beating inflation is fair, and it's not. So when someone comes along in the DeFi side, and I love DeFi, I will also admit that my DeFi is primarily Tezos based because I like what they build over there. And I think that the Tezos community has a certain level of safety to it. It's all gambling, but there's a certain level there's a lack of angel dust. Yeah. They're still gambling, but they're just not high on coke when they do it, which is what makes it seem a little bit more normal to me. And I like DeFi, but when you do DeFi for a good 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then you start looking at like normal returns, a great stock return is like the worst thing I'm going to see in DeFi. Like 10, 15%. I'm like, 10, 15%? What am I, new? Get this shit off my computer. I'm not looking at this 10, 15%. You show me.
Yeah, but when that coin drops to 0 and it's not worth anything, then
impermanent loss.
Which
everyone learned the terms impermanent loss all at once, it seems.
Okay. I keep harping on this, but the reason why this was such a ridiculous event or so like nefarious, in my opinion, is that these companies like a Celsius, like a BlockFi, these lending borrowing services, pin themselves to the blockchain narrative. They were like, "Hey, we're Web3, we're DeFi." You weren't DeFi. You weren't DeFi. You didn't have open, transparent books, and therefore got screwed for it. But you also weren't CeFi. There was no insurance to fucking bail you out. I want to show one thing, Gif. I want to get your take here as well. But I want to show one thing. This is the Aave app, and I know this looks very, very simplistic, but it is one example of a good DeFi app. And there's a lot of different features to good DeFi apps, but mainly it's been audited, it's never been hacked, all of these things that come along with, trading finance and in trading assets in a decentralized way, essentially. Decentralized finance, namely. So here's what I want to show you. This is essentially how these DeFi apps work, at least from the lending and borrowing side. You can get a percentage. This percentage increases a lot during a bull market because people are willing to pay a lot more than this 2%, 2.6% to actually borrow that money in a bull market. So someone is coming in saying, I want to lever up here and I want to get a bunch of, let's just use BAUSD for example. I'll pay 2.68% per year to borrow $1 million, whatever. It's a hypothetical number. You're receiving 1.27% on a rolling basis on this app. So essentially, every second that you deploy BUSD, you're receiving 0.003, 0.004, whatever that number is, you're receiving on a rolling basis. And then if you do a transaction to take your funds out, it's immediate. I would create a new fucking MetaMask wallet, put $10 in there, use the Aave app that I just showed, not financial advice, do anything like that, see how it works, and it's really a transformative experience. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I was transformed by something similar. It was called Wonderland. I was transformed.
What is this?
My money was transformed. There was like an incantation where someone said Wonderland.
It's not.
My money got smaller. It was like a shrinking ray. My money got smaller. Almost instantaneously. It was I would say magical, but I don't want to dumb down.
Are you trolling me right now, man? Kane Mayfield's
No.
trolling me.
Nah, man, so Wonderland was one of the DeFi schemes that I got wrecked on.
Gotcha. What was the APY, may I ask?
80,000%.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know
1.2.
Everyone who did it, who has sense, because a lot of people who have sense got hit in Wonderland, myself included. And I said in the beginning, I know this is bullshit. And I bought it anyway. I said this is definitely bullshit. And by the way, at that time I'm balls deep in DeFi. I don't touch anything over maybe 150, 170. And this is bull market stuff. I'm just like, nah, a little too rich for my blood. I'm
80K.
Okay. Yeah, this is like 80,000. I'm like, I would never touch anything like this, but it seems so good. So I just did it, and then I ended up getting over my skis and wrecked. But something you said I wanted to touch on, which is the DeFi people who really do DeFi are not super duper interested in courting foreign people or onboarding people. You shouldn't be onboarded to DeFi. It's a terrible way to be onboarded. You should be onboarded to crypto, and then perhaps you speculate with DeFi as a way of getting returns on your crypto while you wait for whatever metaphorical ship to come in. If you're a Bitcoin person, if you're a Tez person, an ETH person, if you're Avalanche, whatever your thing is, you can play with these things in a speculative sense while you wait for your big boat to come in. The thing is that with more reward comes more risk. And unfortunately, the people who are playing with some of this stuff, not like BlockFi, not like Crunchy or Plenty or some of these other DeFi protocols. Even Wonderland, before Wonderland got took apart, it was really not a bad thing. The point I want to make is with these things, that's not who's playing with them. With Coinbase or FTX or Binance, those are normal people who have no business in crypto, who don't understand that it's their crypto, who really have no concept of freedom. So since you don't understand what freedom is, you've never had freedom. The bank doesn't give you freedom. Your investment account doesn't give you any of that freedom. It really is never your stock. I mean, it is, but it isn't. They've always had a custodial relationship with their own money.
Yeah.
So without showing someone, hey, listen, this is actually yours. What you choose to do with it is on you. And if you loan it to somebody and they fucking dent your car, you're going to get back a dented car. And it's like, well, they're going to fix it. No, they won't. They won't be around no more. Well, I'll just call the manager. There is no manager, bro. Like you can't do that. You got to be responsible with who you lend your car to. Well, that's what insurance is for. Yeah, insurance won't touch none of this shit. So you're literally lending your only car to someone who may drink and drive and crash it.
So CZ is now platforming for this insurance fund. The game theory around insurance funds, though, is like people have set up these decentralized insurance funds saying, oh, if Aave gets hacked, as long as we pay into it over time and hundreds of millions of dollars, like the users will get paid out. The problem then that becomes the honeypot. It's like, okay, I want to hack this service, but Gif, I want to get your take on just this DeFi conversation, man.
And we're talking specifically about CZ proposing this insurance fund?
Just my comments earlier showing Aave, Kane's comments there. We'll talk about the CZ stuff.
I don't know. The issue with so much of DeFi and crypto in general, even NFTs, is that it's all like gambling. And you know, like part of what Kane was talking about just got me thinking even more about like, you know, he was talking about like, oh, we'll onboard them into crypto and then, you know, maybe they speculate with DeFi a little bit. And the hard reality that I think we realize during a bear market and when things go south is how speculative all of it is right now. And that's not like, I'm a believer in crypto. I'm a believer in tech and technology and the macro trends of adoption and use cases and applications being developed. So it's like, that's why I'm in it. That's why, like, regardless of all this shit, I'm still bullish on Bitcoin. I'm still bullish on Ethereum. I'm still bullish on Tezos and some of these others that are developing what I think are good applications and good ecosystems. All of that said, the way that the majority of people look at it is crypto in of itself is massively speculative. And then you've got these layers of things on top of it. I think we were talking about today, like NFTs are basically a derivative of an already speculative market. So it's speculation on top of speculation. And so I don't know, it just gets me thinking about like how far out on the like risk, you know, scale we are when we're talking about these layers of applications on top of crypto that is already a hugely speculative asset. And I think maybe it was Andy James, somebody in GM Web3 was talking about, you know, or maybe it was VGF, like this is a good moment to reassess your risk tolerance. It's a good moment to take a step back and be like, where am I at in life? Where are my funds at? What is my risk profile looking like? And does it actually make sense? Is this all adding up for me? Because I'm in a very unique case. And I think like Kane, I know Kane has a baby on the way. So like I don't wanna project where that is, but I'm in a very unique situation where I'm 35. Yeah. I'm 35. I have no kids. I have no wife. I have no dependents. I am only focused on like not in a selfish way, but I guess in a selfish way, like I'm focused on building myself up and I take on as much risk as I feel comfortable. And I don't have to like get that approved by anybody. You know what I mean? Like my parents don't take care of shit. It's all me. It's my own risk at this point. It's all up to me. And so I'm in a unique situation in terms of I'm far out there on like the levels of risk that I'm taking with my life. I quit my full-time corporate job in December to do this shit full time. You know what I mean? It's like the most risky shit in the world because I'm at my prime earning years when I should be making, you know, $130,000 to $150,000 a year doing a corporate gig. And I'm out here fucking gambling like a degenerate. So it's like, that's like where I'm at from a risk profile perspective. Yeah. Most people are not in that situation. And even I'm, you know, realizing like, hey, I should probably be like, you know, at least reassessing some of my risk decisions right now because this shit is far out outside of the norm.
But look what you're saying. But and I'm saying this to give you a compliment. Look at what you're saying. When you're actually sitting and trying to assess your own risk tolerance, right? how many people do you think have had their risk tolerance assessed? Or is it just buy it with both hands and back up a truck? Like, and to be fair, do I agree with your assessment of your risk tolerance? Fuck no. I think you're a crazy person, and you're saying that because you're a young crazy person, and you got your American Sniper beard, and it's the whole thing, and you're trying to live La Vida Loca. You can also demolish yourself thinking that way. And what I would recommend, and this is just for anybody who's really assessing their own risk tolerance, and this is something that I do not practice, just to be very clear. Don't be like me, I'm a cautionary tale. So when you're projecting 10 years, 15 years, 20 years in the future, which I've been forced to do because I'm marrying a very smart person who's smarter than me and way prettier than I deserve. So because I have a smart person making a baby for me right now, she goes, baby, where are we going to be in 10 years? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. Who knows? That's none of your business. Like, what are you, a witch doctor? Who knows things like that?
Nobody knows, Kane. Nobody knows where we're going to be in 10 years.
Get wrecked or die trying.
But we should plan, because the get wrecked or die trying, by the way, we should start a podcast. The get wrecked or die trying should not be our fundamental philosophy when it comes to investment strategy. Some of the crypto that we have, some of the crypto that we hold should be left in its natural state to flourish or wither on its own. And when you start thinking about that mentality, right, which very few people seem to hold besides a few maxis, leave the crypto in its natural state, because now you're forced to rationalize, how much do I believe in this coin? But when it's, oh, no, I'm only buying this because what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it and bounce it on some bullshit. And hopefully that doesn't, fornicate me with a railroad spike. But what you're finding is with a lot of these big protocols, what are they backed with? What are they built on? Who built them? And why did they build them in the first place? Did they build them because they like the coin? No, people who like the coin just have the coin and have tons of it. They have a fuck ton of it. They sold their house, and they're Bitcoin people to the death. You'll see them on Clubhouse to this day. For everyone else, they're trying to make bait to lure in our less enlightened citizens, because they're going to dump. Not all, not every, but a hell of a lot more than they should. And in times like this, when everyone cries foul and they go, oh, it's setting the space back. No, it's not. Those people were going to get wrecked anyway. The same way I say, I feel the same way about Super Bowl commercials for exchanges is the same way I do about my very conservative friends who don't like gay stuff on TV. And I'm like, what do you care? You ain't gay. Just let it be on TV. They're like, well, it's making people gay. Fam, if an episode of something on Netflix makes you want to do that to yourself, you had that in you to begin with. If an episode of something or a commercial with Larry David makes you want to make a financial decision, you were already so fucked for this space, nothing would have stopped it.
To be fair, Larry David actually was the first to warn us. He was the only one that called that right.
I'm not giving him credit for that. He didn't call it right. He was in their commercial. It was a paid ad. It was sarcasm. It was sarcasm. He was
clearly Kane.
Crotchety uncle. And no, because
let's be literal here.
Yeah.
It's not.
Let's be literal all of a sudden when Kane wants to be literal.
I'm not literal, Larry.
He was talking about Wonderland 2 seconds ago, talking about candy canes.
I'm not literal, Larry. What I'm saying is there are people who take sound bites of narratives, and that becomes their religion. And as purveyors of said sound bites, at some point it's good to be ahead of the game on the responsibility tip. Because all this stuff we're doing, all this free-floating conversation, the two guys who, by the way, I don't know who they were the most boring individuals I've ever heard in my life from the Bahamas. And they're like, we're at a resort. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like the one dude, his voice, it was like Jim Cramer if he was a frat bro and did way more Adderall than Coke.
Are you talking about the Nifty guys right now?
I
love
it. Who was in the Bahamas?
I love it.
I love it. Spaces for 14 forever. It was horrible.
Yeah.
That one dude's voice could literally unfuck a woman, and I hated it. I hated the way it sounded. I just wanted to jump off of a bridge.
Yeah. I want to get on the soapbox for DeFi here. People are asking questions. We're not going to spend the entire episode, on this stuff. Like we honestly have to get out of here in just a second. But there are use cases that make sense for DeFi. If you do want to attempt to use this stuff, I would. Aave literally has an area where you can earn 1%, and this gets to Kane's point earlier. Is you have to have money in order for this stuff to make sense. Because if you're earning $10 in a year, it's not worth it from a risk perspective. But there are potential opportunities for DeFi to show its use case. Someone right now could go on to Aave, borrow $1 million, pay 26 G's on the year to own that million, start a company, pay it all back after their company makes a bunch of money, and nothing, like that. There was no systemic risk to someone taking their funds and moving it and all this other stuff. It's right there. It's very open. And then guess what? If he couldn't pay that shit back, they would have liquidated his funds, and it's over collateralized. So you actually have a situation where people get paid out. Yeah,
that's Celsius.
But Celsius had their centralized books, Kane. It wasn't all decentralized.
All right. And therein
And it was a little bit
lies,
of a Ponzi.
Therein lies my disagreement with them. But here's where I liked about them. If let's just say if Gifted was a maxi of Bitcoin, right? Love Bitcoin, Bitcoin to the moon. I know. Look at his face. It's just hilarious. Mind blown.
I was trying to emulate my Bitcoin eyes.
Oh shit. So if he was a maxi, right? And he, like you said, is a young guy. He has most of his money leveraged in Bitcoin. He plans on leaving it there, but he meets a girl. They get married. They make a little gift dead baby, little gaby, gift baby. I don't know. How do you take your name and make baby out of it? So he's making a baby, right? And his girl says, "Listen, you got all this fucking Bitcoin. You're on the internet yelling about it all day. We need kitchen cabinets. We need a fucking house." And he's just like, "Okay, fine." For him, it's like casino. Remember when they messed the guys playing up and he was coming back when he's betting small? For those guys, for Bitcoin maxis, selling a Bitcoin at 30,000, when they think it's a $100,000 coin isn't making 30, no matter how much they're up, it's losing 70. So if you give them the opportunity to borrow against it at a 40, 50% LTV, if he ever defaults, they'll keep his crypto, so he's never going to default. That premise totally is a stake in the heart of banker vampires, which there's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than that. And because we want to be smart, super big brain thinkers, when I borrow instead of take, I am now skirting the taxable occurrence, which we all love so much because we all pay our taxes because we're all super responsible adults. And I wear sunshades inside, so you should definitely take financial advice from me.
All right, I want to wrap up this conversation here on DeFi. We've kind of moved away from FTX, obviously, a little bit here. But anybody have any last comments on the FTX DeFi drama? And then we'll get to this last piece on Yuga's acquisition of 10KTF.
I just wanted to say, thank goodness Kane is working on his setup and has a better video, because without his expert analysis, I think we'd all be lost, frankly. But no, I love the Kaneisms. Somebody over here saying Kane Mayfield got me in tears, LOL. And man, you had some amazing Kaneisms in that whole segment there. So hopefully Jacob can chop up some of those. But yeah, and then I got to shout out the man, the myth, Joseph Girardi over here. Just make art, sell it for ETH, hold ETH. It's a good strategy.
Not a bad play. Well, it's worked out for Beeple. Although he dumped.
Beeple put the worst thing I've ever seen on the internet in front of millions of people.
I'm not going to share it.
And it was, no, you should share it. You should, because it was, kids saw that.
Big Bud? Are we talking about the
No, you haven't seen the new one?
Horrible.
Have you guys seen the new one?
No, there's something worse than that?
Yes.
I don't even think I could play it or show it on screen.
He's an ocular terrorist. Kids saw that.
I'm going to have to go look at this right now.
I'll show it on screen. Fuck it. I'm showing.
Think about Nyla saw that.
I want to show it for 1 second. This is new. This just dropped this morning. I'm gonna show it for 1 second. Hopefully YouTube doesn't ban us.
Live reaction. Oh my god.
That was it. Hopefully YouTube doesn't ban us.
The little girl who made the long necky ladies had to see that. That's crazy.
Oh my god. This is like almost as bad as 2 Girls 1 Cup. Y'all remember when people were live reacting to that? I did a live reaction to 2 Girls 1 Cup, and I think that might be just as bad.
Well, let's never find that video.
Well, there's another good positive here that for anyone who has mental health issues, obviously with Twitter Spaces the last 4 or 5 days, at least you know that Adderall is not in short supply. Because, boy, let me tell you, there's been some yayed up people running Twitter Spaces for the last 4 days. and they've been doing marathons, and they're just juiced. And it's like, yeah, so what's going on? We don't have any news to report, but we're going to say it in this voice. You know, I was thinking this. Let me tell you something, Gift Ed. The thing with FTX is, here's a bunch of words that I'm going to make up as I'm going because I'm high as a kite.
Yeah.
By the way, look at my metaverse. Welcome.
Jessica Utrowski said, "Why'd you do that to me?" Girardi saying, "The orgy. I'm feeling attacked." Jacob Gooden just threw up in his mouth. And EOS Watchdogs Bang Bros Stadium in Miami. We promise to fuck less people than FTX.
Did you see the actual Dicklebutt man though? Show him that.
I'm not. No, I can't. I will not. That's where I draw the line.
Crypto Dickbutt.
Yeah. The good thing is YouTube wouldn't be able to know what that is. So
another thing that we missed in the chat over here, EOS Watchdogs Fanatics Gary V bought Tops. So Tops NFTs. I mean, that's actually newsworthy for NFTs.
Gif, what's going on here? What story is this?
I just thought this might be fun to talk about real brief because we were talking all kinds of crazy shit happening, and this is an interesting smaller headline that may or may not have caught your eye. Apparently, somebody's developed a real death VR experience here. If your character dies, you die. So like the nightmare in many sort of metaverse, movies, somebody actually created this.
So it like pins you in the head if you die.
I guess
that sounds like some sick shit. That sounds. It's.
And by the way, I'm going to just say this on the show. That way it's been said and no one can say I didn't say it. If any of you want the Population 1 smoke, feel free to challenge. You can come at the king. Just don't miss. Right? If anyone wants any of this VR smoke, I got 2 guns up and I never turned down a fight. So feel free to come at me.
Kane, are you blind right now or can you see something through those VR headsets?
I can 100% see.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right, well, I'll take you up on that. Yo, last story here. We said we were going to keep these to an hour. We need to start doing that. We can't be on content all day.
It's not my fault. Today it's Kane's fault.
Yo, last story here of the day.
1,000% Kane's fault.
This has been like the most... What? My brain is fried at an hour and 20 minutes. This has been the worst kept secret in the NFT space for as long as I can remember. Yuga Labs finally came out and said that they are acquiring WeKnew, which is essentially the company and brand or the company behind 10KTF. That means the IP of Wagmi-san that you see there. And this is going to be for proliferation of that IP, again, into the other side. So, again, most people have known about this for a long time, or at least speculated on it. That it looks like 10KTF is up 100% on the floor price. So there is a reaction there, but not really for the rest of the Yuga assets.
The thing is, we knew this was coming, to your point, Q. Like, we've talked about this months ago, that it was likely that there was going to be a partnership or an acquisition. And I didn't buy in. I should have. I was dumb. I didn't listen to my own advice on this one. Yeah.
Kane, this is a Yuga-friendly podcast here, so I hope you don't have anything negative to say.
Real quick, I want to point out that I actually do think it's good for Yuga, as big as they are and with how much scammy shit's going on, that they created their own sort of like news service blog. So that news.yuga.com or whatever that was you had pulled up.
Yep.
For anybody that's in the Yuga ecosystem, that is the ultimate source of truth now for big updates. And so don't be paying attention to scammy tweets and shit online. Go double check it at this Yuga website that they've set up. I think that that's actually good because there was a lot of fraudulent behavior happening around big Yuga news announcements.
Yeah, I don't know if you've done this setup, Gift, but they have you do like a passphrase / picture to actually even log in. So it's a lot to actually go through to. Well, it's not a lot, but they make you hop through a few hoops. Great. Well, no, it's good. It literally it's a passphrase and a photo. So that you can actually like make sure that they're like, I think it's an authentication piece there as you log into the website.
I don't want a seed phrase for news.
It's not a seed phrase. It's a passphrase. So you'll be like, it's basically telling them your password that you want to see as you're scrolling the interwebs on their website. But anyways, Kane, negative thoughts here on Yuga?
You know, at some point in the future, and I don't look forward to it because it means a lot of other things are going to get broken. I'm going to enjoy seeing how a lot of these companies and people interact once you can no longer freely do market manipulation. Once you can no longer just literally pump a bag in front of people. And I don't want these to be stocks because I make them. NFTs aren't stocks. I don't want them to be. They're not securities. They're not even investments. They are, at least the ones I make, are for entertainment purposes only, and I accept donations in exchange for them. However, when they can't just pump a bag in the middle of chaos, in the middle of fucking chaos.
What are they pumping? What are they? They're releasing an acquisition piece of news there.
You can put your voice octave all the way to the ceiling if you want. Did you hear his reaction? Did you hear what he said? Oh, I knew I should have did it. Oh, phooey. Oh, stop letting them control you, bro. Stop.
Who is being controlled here? How are we being controlled?
Did you hear what he said? Oh, I knew I should have bought it, man. I knew it because it's gonna. Is it really gonna fly? Is it really? Is there magic metaverse that's not coming no time soon? Is that really gonna happen? Did you notice that it was a demonstration? I watch too much sci-fi for this. It's a big cannon. You shoot it once. You keep the enemy in fear. I don't believe in their metaverse. Show it to me.
Q played it. Q played it.
Yeah,
I was in there.
Play it now.
What's your
I was in there, and the only reason
now.
I got in there is because I accessed the website and was able to download because I had the Bored Ape in my wallet. So I actually got access for the utility.
Play it
It was a test.
Oh, so it's not real.
It's an alpha.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So the company actually got formed like 2 years. So the company got founded 2 years ago, Kane. You expect them to put out a AAA studio-based game in that amount of time?
I expect that with the amount of money that they made and the amount of shit that OpenSea took last week, one, they should have their own platform by now, right? They should have built their own marketplace, right? The Yuga marketplace. Two, for people who get as much credit as they do for being innovators and gift givers to the people, they don't really do shit. What do they do besides feather their own nest? That's what we expect from big companies now, right? We expect everyone to take care of each other, like communism. So since we're living in an egalitarian commune, what do they bring to the table?
I think they've done a couple of acquisitions here on IP in the space. It's better than getting bought up by, I don't like that Artifact got bought up by Nike. I'm not a big fan of that. So I'd rather see a Web3 company that has a shit ton of money buy MeBits, buy CryptoPunks, buy these acquisitions for these IPs.
Didn't a prominent ape do the Adidas job? A prominent Bored Ape holder?
Partnership and acquisition, two different things there.
And wasn't all that crypto essentially put on a bullet train out of the space, never to return?
The Adidas drop?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
I made money on that Adidas drop, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I bet you did. I think that what things like, and here's my issue with it, right? I don't care about Yuga. The wind doesn't blow with me one way or the other with that. What I will say is that when we support, propagate, and celebrate things that are not good for the community, they're only good for a select few number of people, then we are turning this into a zero-sum game, and you won't like the environment that is a byproduct of that. I'll be fine. I'm ruthless.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. Because I sold timeshare. So I will literally murder all of you for extra cheese on my burger.
Yeah.
Will everyone be like that? No. Do you
I think we're painting with the broad brush on Yuga. You're right that they are self-serving, but so are many companies. This is how this works. But they're doing a lot of good for the space in a variety of different ways. Does that cancel out that they're very self-serving? Maybe not, depending on who it is. But there's
I think they hired a black guy. Put him right there on the website.
What do you got here, Gif?
Also, yeah, Joseph pointing out ApeDAO also does a lot, getting a lot of things going. This felt relevant because we were talking about Nike and Artifact. So Nike is also launching their own digital collectibles store.
Ew.
That's what it looks like. .swoosh.
Ew. Ew.
I mean, look, it's a big headline. More adoption. I mean, we already knew Nike was all in on metaverse with Artifact. Yeah, man, dude, Nike's one of the biggest consumer brands in the world. I know, Kane. Why are you Yo, we let
Do
the
you
fox in the
think-
chicken coop, man. He's
do
coming
you
on just
think-
flooding Yuga, flooding our bags.
No,
Bro,
here's my question.
apes have already had a bad week, bro. Apes are already down. Why you gotta come
Would
on
you
here and
sacrifice
make us
the
feel even
world to
worse?
save yourself, Yuga man? Of course you would. 'Cause that's a
Why
fact.
are we painting such a broad brush with Yuga? Just because they have elements of a traditional company that's raised a fuck ton of money doesn't mean that they're negative for the space.
I have friends that are apes. I just don't give them a soft stone massage every time they take a shit or open up for business. It's like I think they have very weird timing when it comes for their drops, and they like to go, hey man, I know everything's on fire, but look, we're still doing things. Buy our digital litter, and that's fine, whatever. If you're buying a Nike NFT, you're a fucking idiot, and you don't get it. If you're buying a Warner Brothers PFP, you're an idiot, and you don't fucking get it, and you're not gonna make it. And if you're buying it for any other reason, then okay, I'm not a fucking idiot, but I think lots of people are fucking idiots, so I'm gonna buy this real quick and flip it because I have expendable money that I don't mind losing. Okay, cool. If that's what you're doing, cool. Just do it from a weird wallet because it's a fucking funny way to make money.
Is collecting stamps a weird way to make money to you?
Yes.
Is collecting Pokemon cards a weird way to make money? Like, these are all just
Not if you're a
collectible
pedophile.
plays in half a way. We'll
Not if
see
you're a
that,
pedophile.
but this is what I'm saying. It's like these are some of these are just collectibles.
Show me a stamp collector you would let babysit.
My grandma.
I
Bro,
don't know.
my grandma.
It's because I don't know a stamp collector. Doesn't mean I won't let him
Google
like
it.
be over here.
Google them. Look
Okay.
at their pictures.
The Warner Brothers thing, I will get
Unsavory.
on board with you because we've been on this show and like slammed Warner Brothers drops because they're just. But at the end of the day, they're just collectible drops. That's what I've come to realize. It's like it's not about flipping. It's not about flipping. Oh, you got.
He's getting a tag in the shot.
Listen, it's not about collectibles. Or
No,
it's
it's
not
not.
about
I'm
flipping.
adjusting
I'm sorry.
my hoodie, bro.
Kane's got
yo, Kane, dude. All
No,
right.
here's what he thinks like-
Anyway,
You sponsored by Powerade?
No, I was just taking a sip to quench my thirst. What are you talking about, bro?
Kane, you're on another level today. Listen, we're at an hour and 30, so we do have to hop off here in just a second. I like when a Web3 company, or at least one that was built out of our community, even though Kane is throwing shade and throwing eggs all over the house of Yuga, I like when a Web3 company acquires an IP as opposed to a Web2 company coming in and acquiring something because they want to be cool.
I'm not throwing shade at Yuga. I just think the drop is ill-timed. Also, I think they get a lot of credit for making money, which there's lots of ways to make money.
but
Also,
are they
Bored
even
Ape shouldn't be the
dropping
gold
anything?
standard.
I think isn't it just an announcement? I don't even think they're dropping anything, are they?
Do you think that announcement pumps a bag?
Every big announcement pumps some bag in the space. Like
Doesn't have to.
again, I'm not sure what the point is. Like we already talked about the fact that like they had it in their back pocket as an announcement. It was probably done today to distract from anything else or help stop the bleeding because apes are down fucking 50% in the last week. So of course that's all strategic. That's what PR is. That's not unique to crypto or Yuga Labs. Like that's how the conversation happens and news works in general. So I guess I don't understand the point of like other than just pointing out that yeah, it's suspicious timing. But again, look at politics. Look at news. Look at
Is that
brands
the-
in general.
Is that the standard we want to compare to in this space?
No, man, this is
You're connecting a lot of dots that are
I
just
am.
like all over the place.
I am.
this is how like business works around the world, you know. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying like to say that like nobody in crypto should operate a business like a business. Like I guess I'm kind of lost. I'm a little bit confused.
That's Kane. That's what Kane wants.
I think he just came in here to create chaos and anarchy. This is anarchy now. All right.
No,
In a bear, we just had the worst week ever. Look, pump a little
know.
my bags, please.
It wasn't the worst week ever. You'll be fine.
All right, I had
Nifty Q.
yeah.
Yeah, Nifty
I
Q is
won't
in
say it
BlockFi,
live.
so I don't know. Yeah.
Was it the worst week
anyway.
ever for Bitcoin?
The fact that I can't get my funds out of BlockFi has been a pretty bad week for me. But
So
you
can
know,
we use
it
this
just
as
is
a
what it is.
teachable moment?
Don't bring in your don't start to shame me, Kane. Kane,
I'm not.
as
It's a teachable moment. I had to learn that I should trust my instincts when I got wrecked for more money than I would care to admit in Wonderland. And the teachable moment from this is we should all custodian our own crypto so that we never have to worry about things like this happening again. It's only bad if we don't learn from it.
True. Wise words. Wise words from Kane
twist into
Mayfield.
the knife, and I'm not anti-Yuga. I'm happy for your sweater and all your thing, you know.
It's not the first time that I've gotten wrecked, and it won't be the last. We're gonna visit Kane Mayfield here in Crypto Voxels and find him and put him in a corner.
See, times like this is why Gift Dad treats me the way he does. Right? Sometimes he's not happy to see me, and look at the face he's making. His blood pressure's all up. He's gritting his teeth, you know. And that's not how I like you. I like it when you're happy, Gift Dad. You got your Miley Cyrus hair covered up. This is not you.
Kane, I just want to show you one thing before we pop off here, because you're going to see it again as we pop off. But I want to show you one thing.
Uh-oh.
And I hope you guys have had a good time here on NFT Live. We bring in the lasers. We bring in the top quality production for you guys only on this episode, only on this show. So we appreciate it. We like to hoard our funds just so that you can have the best experience on NFT Live alone. Thank you so much for tuning in.
How nice their sweaters are. I'm wearing a t-shirt that I bought from Instagram. That's the level they have me at. This hat was free.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us on the Get Wrecked or Die Trying podcast today. It's been a great time with our new co-host, Kane Mayfield.
So happy you got a video.
Shouts to Yuga Labs, man. Just doing the best, doing the Lord's work out here.
Dude, hey, stay
that was
strong,
nice.
APAM.
That was a nice blurb. You can cut that up and use it later.
Take care
our vibe, our tribe.
Take care of number one. Our vibe, our tribe. Let's go.
Love you guys. Later.